Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are doing something a little different. Instead of explaining a solution, I am going to play the role of the interviewer and you will experience a realistic low level design interview. The problem statement is to design a movie ticket booking system. As we move forward, I will introduce additional requirements. Well, just like interviewers do in the real interviews, to see how the design evolves. I encourage you to pause the video whenever I ask a question and think through your own solution and then compare it with the discussion. It is one of the best ways to prepare for LLD interviews. With that said, let's begin.
Okay. So booking service. Yeah.
And yeah, it will be super helpful if you can also be more verbal so that I
Okay.
can know if you are stuck somewhere or need any clearance or not.
Okay. I was just reading the question.
Hmm.
So this part, movie booking service, right?
Yeah,
Based on location, user can see available. Okay, search basically. Then they can filter based on the different criteria. Okay. Once they select, seats are shown. Okay. Then they do the entire payment in their booking invoice and done. Okay. Everything is fast paced and you have okay. Concerns and corporates. Okay. So here, the primary focus, like the of this uh, question, will be on which aspect basically. Like, do we focus on this payment
so this
or
is the
system
we focus on all the aspects from booking to um,
payment?
basically
So
getting the
basically, I have to
notifications as well.
design the payment system as well, right?
Correct, you have to
Okay.
focus on the payment entities as well.
Okay. So
And this is on the user side, not on the admin side. So you don't have to worry about onboarding theaters and movies.
yes, I was about to ask. Okay,
Yeah.
so basically the flow which I'm assuming is user will come, he'll search for a movie,
Mhm.
and they'll select a theater. Inside the theater, they'll try to select a show, like how we do usually. They
Mm.
select a show. Inside that, they'll book a seat, then payment, right?
That's correct. That is the scope for this interview. As an extended requirement, user can select the movies and then also see theaters. But here, the general flow is you select a theater and then see the movies.
Acha, so we search based on theaters, like location, based on location.
Correct. So it is
Okay.
like the location, then the theaters. Then once you click on the theater, you see all the available movies.
Okay, understood. And you're saying that we can also have different kinds of filtering and sorting later on.
Correct.
Oh,
And
uh,
whatever criteria you can think of, let's also discuss those.
okay, once. So I'll just note down the normal requirements.
Sure.
Booking service. So user will search. User will search based on theater, right?
Yeah. Or we
Location.
can show the theaters based on the location as well.
Acha.
Is it possible to increase the font size a bit?
Acha, okay. I'll do that.
Works. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So user will select a theater. I'll put it in this way.
Mhm.
Uh, Based on users' location, we show theaters. Select seats, a payment,
Hmm.
and after payment, notification as well, right? We need to give the confirmation over notification.
Right.
Uh, Notify
Yeah,
the
if the
user.
payment is successful.
Yeah. So here, pay for the notification. I mean, if we come from this bottom, are we going to notify the user via just the normal app notifications, or we'll have multiple ways to notify, as in we have for normal Book My Show,
We will have
the
multiple channels, let's say SMS, email, WhatsApp, in-app notifications.
multiple channels. Okay, then for payment as well, are we going to accept both UPI card and everything, or
Correct. Yeah, we support all the possible ways of
okay,
payment.
card, etc. Got it. So yeah, so coming to this seat selection, first user will select a theater, the movie. So basically, coming to this normal booking service, the main issue is first the timeout. Are we going to hold the seats? Suppose I selected few seats and then I don't make the payment basically. So what is going to
Hmm.
happen? Are we going to handle that scenario
Yeah, I will
in
come
this
to that.
requirement?
I will come to that. So, which way you want to implement it? You will be showing some seat as grayed out to other users when, let's say, I select the seat. That is the way, or any other way also you
Yeah. So
can think of.
I was thinking like, so
Hmm.
basically we can first we select the seats,
Hmm.
but after that we proceed to check out. There is, I think, proceed wala button.
Hmm.
Post that we'll make the payment, so we can stay in the proceed stage for like, I think, some 10 minutes or something, I think, like a normal Book
Okay.
My Show flow. But before we click on proceed, I don't think it is uh, I mean, do we handle the grayed out part there, log the seat there? Because user can just keep on selecting as many as seats as they want, wherever they want. But until they click on proceed, that means they have not locked any seat. So what I'm
Hmm.
thinking is, first, whenever user is selecting, uh, we don't do anything. But if they click on proceed, then we have to lock the seat for some time.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Let's set the timeout as 5 minutes for now.
Okay, 5 minutes timeout, and post that. Okay, we have to check the payment also. If they make the payment, then it will be marked as booked.
Right.
If not, then we'll free the seats. Okay. So here, searching. I mean, search is no searching as of now. As you mentioned, it will be an extended requirement.
Correct.
Am I? Yeah. So we
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
show the theaters. User will directly. We are assuming that the user will select the theater. Then he will choose a movie in that theater.
Yeah, search is an extended requirement because let's say generally even in Bangalore you see at max at a time for a location you will see 15 theaters only. So it does not make a
Yeah.
sense to immediately
Sense
provide
to.
a search functionality.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then search is fine. Uh, for location. So location, as in, are we going to show the uh, theaters based on the distance? Like that is the criteria, right? Near, there should be some radius in which we want to show the theaters.
Correct. Yeah. That is one of the
Apart,
criterias. Yeah.
like apart from that, user does the user has any other way to like list the theaters apart from the location? I mean, just asking, or we can just directly assume that the landing page itself will show theaters nearby, and that's all. If they want to suppose book a movie in a different location altogether,
Hmm.
like what is the scenario in that case?
So for now, we are only focused on users' location.
Users
Later on,
location.
let's say I am planning to visit some. Let's say I am planning to visit Goa after 2 days. Then I can explicitly provide Goa's location. But for now, let's assume users' current location as the base, and then only show the theaters based on the distance.
Okay.
Then for movies, there can be different criteria.
Yeah, so in a theater, I mean, if we select a theater, there will be multiple shows, multiple screens, right?
Hmm.
And each screen will be screening a different movie.
Correct.
How is like I'm just trying to visualize the page. Like, are we going to show screen wise or movie wise? Movie, then inside movie screen.
Yeah. First movie, and then once you select, then uh, basically
Okay.
screen. And screen is not explicitly shown to the user because that is not their concern. Generally screens are nearby only and they are identical only, right? So
Huh,
better you just show the show timings and
short
then
like by
yeah.
screen I meant like show timing it only.
Okay,
A
got it.
screen, so the user wouldn't know what screen it will be
Right.
until the
Yeah.
book it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So user will choose a movie. You mentioned that there will be there can be different ways for movie. Like, did you mean the search part of movie or what?
No, we will show the based on so at the top there will be different days. Let's say for next 7 days,
Acha,
what
day
theater
wise.
is playing. Yeah,
Got it. Day wise list, maybe something like that.
correct.
So we will select the day. Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, One more scenario which just came to my mind. Suppose the show starts at 8 o'clock,
Mhm.
and do we uh, have this requirement where we have to mark the status of the booking or something? Like, suppose if the user goes and shows the same ticket at 9 o'clock, it shouldn't be valid. So that scenario are we going to handle?
No, we are not going to handle that. User can even book a running movie as well.
Oh, okay, understood. Running movie as well. So I'm assuming no validations as
Correct.
such,
Yeah.
apart from just the concurrency part.
Right.
Okay, understood. So, keeping this in mind, shall I go with the core entities which I'm thinking of, like
Yeah.
the
Sure.
requirement? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. So coming to core entities, one is we can have a user. Obviously, user will have ID, name. Then we can have active bookings. We can have a list of booking which user currently has active or something like that, and we can build it. Like, I'm planning to write down few entities whatever coming into my mind, and based on, like, suppose now I came across booking, I'll do that. I mean, build it on the go is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay, user is one. User will go.
I have a
So
couple of questions, but I will visit those once you are done with this data model. Uh,
sure. Okay, we have a theater. We'll have a screen. This one is available. So, here we go. So we have a show. This will basically have ID, start time. I'll clearly make the do the kind of So class diagram for these ones, but for my initial this thing, I'm just noting it down here itself. Later, I'll
Okay.
put it in proper boxes. Right? We can have a screen. We can have a movie, I think. Something like that. Okay. Then we have a movie. Maybe we have a title, duration. Maybe we have that the name. Uh, okay. After movie, so you will come at the theater. Theater will have different shows. Then we have seat first. So for seat, okay. First the seat ID will be there. Mm, Status, something called status.
Hmm.
For this, I was thinking here for screen show where to put the seat list of seats exactly. Screen obviously will have physical seats, but I think show should have the list of. I'm thinking show should have list of seats because for each show it will keep on changing. Like the status of seat will keep on changing, right?
For
I
each
am
screen, we are changing the show, right? Screen has a list of show. So show is associated with a movie for a time, right? Screen is
yes.
kind of a physical, let's say auditorium, right? Screen is nothing
Ah,
but Audi, right? So
correct.
ideally,
Yes.
this is the physical thing, right? So
Yes.
shouldn't seat be part of a screen?
I mean, seats should be there. I mean, physically, screen has seats, but while when we are maybe both can have like seats. These seats can belong to the screen, but not. It will just be an entity, is what I'm thinking. Booking the seat logic, then confirming it, locking it, all that logic will depend on a particular show. If we change, suppose if we put it in screen and we change the status, then
Hmm.
for a same screen a different show, like we can't put that logic, right?
Okay,
Like
so you
I'm
are talking about the seats that have been booked by this user for the show, not all the seats, is it?
huh
Okay, got it.
suppose
Then it makes
like that.
sense.
For that purpose I was thinking, in a show we can change the status of the seats. Show will obviously have a screen ID,
Hmm.
and that screen will have physical seats,
Makes
but
sense.
state wise if we see, show
Hmm.
will handle that state of seats, is what I was thinking.
Makes sense. Okay.
So we can keep it here for now. Um, let's see, like while designing again, if I get another thought. So yeah, we have a user will select a theater. He will select a movie. Movie will basically have shows.
Hmm.
Then the user selects the seats. Then proceeds for payment. So payment. For payment, obviously we'll have to support different types of payments, UPI card and all. So we can use a kind of a strategy pattern here is what I'm thinking. So let's see. And I'll get the concrete classes later on. Payment is one part of it. After payment, yeah, notification, right? Kind of a notifier. This notifier will obviously, I mean, this should follow the observer pattern where there will be one notifier, multiple, since you
Hmm.
mentioned there will be different channels, we are assuming.
Hmm.
There will be one, what do you call, WhatsApp notifier, SMS notifier,
Hmm.
and whatever are listed for that particular user, we are going to, I mean, send the notification. And one more question before I confirm this last point.
Hmm.
User can have both SMS and WhatsApp and email as well. Like for example,
Right.
are we going to notify in all the three channels or only like suppose SMS if the user only wants SMS, something like that?
No, for now, let's assume we are sending
All.
the notification to all the channels.
Okay. Okay. Understood. So like
And for the seventh one, you are using strategy design pattern, is it?
yeah. I'll
Cool.
have different UPI strategy and card strategy, which will make the payment
Got
based
it.
on the.
Any other design pattern coming to your mind looking at this data model?
Okay, so um, if booking, like I was actually thinking of going in this way where we have service repository in that manner. Like if we follow the kind of what dependency injection kind of thing, we wouldn't need a singleton pattern. But if you're normal like a initial design, we might need a singleton pattern to manage the booking as well. But I
Hmm.
was not planning to go in a different route with the controller service and something like that, where the
Okay.
like something, it
Okay.
will be
For the
dependent.
seat,
Mhm.
yeah, for the seat, right? You have made this status enum. Seat will
Yeah,
be moving across different transitions, right? While the user
yeah.
is selecting, then
State
doing the
pattern.
payment.
I mean, yeah, it will have different states, but then
Hmm.
uh, each state does not have much logic to do, right? So
But there
that's
is
why,
a restriction on a transition, right? Let's say the it cannot go from, let's say, available to directly booked, right? Because we are graying out the seat as well. So to
yeah,
put this restriction, I think we need the state pattern.
understood. So, so you're saying that we can directly implement a state pattern and do dot next and don't worry about what is the next state, something like that.
Right, right.
Yeah, we can do that. I was actually thinking to handle it in a. Anyways, we will have to manually unlock the seats, right?
Mm.
So unlocking the seats can mean two different things. One is like it is actually paid and booked, and one is like we have to release the seats to be active, like
Right.
available kind of thing.
Mm.
So here concurrency part, I was thinking to have a uh, we can have a background thread, or we can have a lock which will expire after 5 minutes, something like that. So it will the thread or the expiry logic will handle the moving the status to available or it is permanently booked.
Okay. By
uh,
expiry, you mean some kind of TTL, time to live.
time to live, yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. I have one question, but that will move into high level design. So I am not asking that for now. But in the interest of time, I have a couple of questions for this ID, right? You are using ID different in different entities. This ID will be of what data type?
I like usually I whenever we design an actual production thing, it should be a UUID, which is a
Mhm.
random ID which should be generated. But just for a simplicity purpose, I was thinking to put a long here. But in
Mm.
general, it should be a UUID and should be generated, or it can be a sequence which can be auto generated. Some one of
Right.
those things.
So if it is a sequence, then I think integer or long should be good, right?
Yeah,
Unless we are concerned with overflow.
yeah.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
yeah, and I have one more question. You have mentioned list of booking, list of show, list of seat as well, right?
yeah, yeah.
Does relational DBs support that at a high level? Can you
No.
store? Yeah. So how will you deal with this?
So we can have like suppose if we take a example of a show, it
Yeah.
has multiple seats. Relational, we can have multiple rows for that particular show, but I think it won't be that. Or when we have, we don't store a relation in show, we rather store it in seat. So seat obviously will have its own row, right?
Mhm.
So we can map it to a foreign key of show ID.
Got it. So actually, you won't be using
Show
this
ID.
composite
Just
data
seat.
type. That's what you are trying to say.
Oh, sorry.
You won't be using this collection list of seat while doing the
No,
actual
I mean,
storage.
yeah, yeah, no.
Got it. Um, Makes sense. We can move ahead.
Okay. So first,
we have three more things to cover at a high level. Like one is the concurrency part. How will you handle
Yeah.
that? One
Yeah.
is the payment part. How will you handle double spending problem? I can elaborate that like what this problem is if you don't know. And the third one is I on the coding side, I want you to focus on the booking flow.
Yeah.
Once booked, then how you are locking the seat, then proceeding to payment, and then back to the app.
Okay. So first, maybe I'll theater and screen. Since you mentioned it's not an admin flow, I'll not put up a different box for that for now. If I have time, I'll put it later on.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
I'll start with the like show and that part,
Okay.
show screen and all. Like, is it okay?
You are making the actual entities for now?
Kind of, yeah. Connecting the different kinds of flow.
Okay, so let's. You have made these entities. I think I am clear on this. First,
Acha.
let's move on the concurrency, the payment part, and the coding aspect. We can revisit this later if the time allows.
Coding. Should I do it in an online compiler or?
Anywhere you feel comfortable. If you have ID, that's fine.
Acha, Java.
Okay,
Online.
before coding, let's discuss 5-10 minutes on the concurrency and
Huh.
the payment part.
Sure. Sure. So concurrency part comes right here.
Mm,
So when a user selects a seat,
mm,
so basically there will be some we can call it as a booking service or something where we select some seat.
mm,
Imagining there is a controller, booking controller. So whenever there is a user who selects a movie and show inside that seats page, we select multiple seats. But
mm,
before, when we proceed, when we click on proceed, there will be a API call, so something like booking with the, which will be a post call, which will have the seat IDs.
mm,
Okay. So now we have the seat IDs which the user is interested in booking. Now for that seat IDs, we will first try to like the reintent lock. We have the feature of acquiring like the try lock or something like that, where we'll first check if some other user is already having that lock or not.
mm.
So we try to acquire a lock, and if we are successfully able to acquire lock for all the seats, then we basically proceed for booking. I mean, for if suppose the user makes the payment, we do a checkout, and based on whatever payment type the user has selected, the payment will be done. Suppose the user did not make the payment,
Mm.
and since the expiry, the TTL will expire, the lock will be removed from that particular seat. So if someone else is coming in that 5 minutes, like once the lock is expired, they will be able to book the seat. They will be able to lock those seats, and the old user will get an error saying that the status of seat is changed, something like that, and you have to try again. And
Okay.
if suppose, yeah, we
I
can.
have. Yeah, yeah. Please continue. I will come to this. Yeah.
I was thinking of a case where suppose 5 minutes just passed and the user clicked on checkout. I mean the payment part.
Mm.
So we can have another check there if the user is currently holding whatever lock is present for that seat. If current user is only holding that or not, or we can go ahead with the payment and make a refund later on. Something two options we can have, but I think it's better to cancel it before we go for the payment.
Okay. Now, I think this try lock, what you are mentioning, is re-entrant lock. If you are talking in terms of Java, is that
Yeah,
correct?
Java. Yes.
Okay. Now I have a question. Although this is not high level, but consider this valid scenario. Let's say there are three different servers, and 10 person are competing for the same seat for the same movie, basically for the same show, right?
Yeah.
So three of the requests are going to, let's say, server one, three are going to server two, and four are going to server three, right? So
Ab-
will this re-entrant lock be sufficient in that scenario? Basically, each server is running a different JVM.
Yes, exactly. So this will be a kind of in-memory lock. Only that server will know its own lock, something like that.
Mm.
So the other server will not know what the server one is holding, basically.
Correct.
So in
Right.
this case, we'll need something like a distributed lock.
Mm.
as in which will be separate of the servers and will like something like a Redis. I have not
Hmm.
implemented it at any time, but I know
Hmm.
about it because it is something like a distributed lock. It will handle the lock and some it will be between the server and the service, uh, which is trying to lock basically. So instead of talking to the server, we talk to the Redis based on if lock is present or not.
Okay.
This,
Uh,
yeah,
Makes sense. So you are saying that Redis will be shared across all the servers,
servers.
if I'm getting correct?
Redis will be accessing the database, something. I mean, it will not be server specific. It is a kind of a distributed system, right?
Uh, Got it. So this system, this caching system, basically Redis will be shared across all the three servers, kind
Mm.
of to acquire or release the locks.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Makes sense. This is one of the possible solutions. Um, c- can we move on to the payment part? Do you know about the double spending problem?
Like, based on the word terminology, I'm thinking suppose user clicked multiple times and they're
Mhm.
trying to pay for the same transaction twice, something like that.
Mm.
Is it?
Yeah, either the user or let's say the service itself internally retries the payment. Let's say the payment went through, but they did not get the AC key, right? Acknowledgement from the payment gateway. So after some time, they might retry, right? So how to
Yeah.
prevent the double spending?
So we can use this concept of a key, idempotency key is what we call it. But in general, in like when I'm working here, also we have that concept of a key, unique key for each
Mm.
transaction. So we suppose a user is kind of making a request. So based on the user's request and the payload, whatever it is, we try to create a key, unique key. So that key should be something like whenever user is trying to hit the same payload, it should fail. I mean, because a key generation logic should be in that way.
Mm.
So we can keep a check on this key. For this key, if it is processed already, then we process it again. Something like this.
Got it. And this key is generated by the system or the payment gateway?
We, I mean, payment. I'm not sure if the payment gateway send it or not, but it can
Mm.
be in any. Uh, it's better to have it in the uh, payment gateway side rather than the like the client generating. But both
Um,
places
yeah,
it can go.
that's correct. But why is that so?
Because it's better to have the validations in the end, like backend service, rather than
Mhm.
putting into the client who is requesting it. Because I mean, you cannot. For me, though, logically thinking,
Mm.
we cannot trust the client data coming from client exactly, right? For
That's
critical
right.
things like a payment.
Right.
So it's better
That's
we
right.
generate the backend, yeah.
Makes sense. I think I'm done with my questions. We can move on to the coding part. Or if you want to go
Okay.
with the UML first, that's also fine. Whichever way
UML,
helps you to code, basically.
coding, we can go. I mean, because UML though will be again similar to these things. Only
Yeah,
few
right. Yeah,
functions will come into picture. That's all, I think.
correct. Yeah. Then we can move on to the coding. Yeah.
Okay. So coding, which one should I do first? This booking wala part, right? The concurrency.
Right.
Okay. So I'll just put up a list here. List of I'll just put up integer, like which this integer ideally it should be a seat ID. So I'm just simulating some booking wala service here.
Okay.
Book something like that. Okay. So assuming that there will be a list of seat IDs and obviously a user who is trying to book the seats.
Hmm.
So we can have a user ID also. Should I go with the scheduler thread or the expiry? Like, I'm not very clear on that part.
Okay.
I'm thinking that. Let's see.
So re-entrant lock, we are currently designing for one JVM, but actually you will be having some kind of Redis
Yeah,
implementation.
yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah, right now I'm just doing the in-memory part, what we
Hmm.
discussed.
Okay.
Oh, re-entrant log, actually, I'm not that
Hmm.
up to date with the functions which it
Okay.
offers.
Yep.
So, shall I consider a map kind of thing?
Yeah, it's fine.
So, I was something like this how a log works. Map will have the seat ID, which in our case is integer. Then we'll have expiry or not, something. We can use a concurrent hash map because it's a multi-threading scenario, and Java provides us with this concurrent hash map, which will handle the concurrency part for us.
Okay.
Hash. So I just considered this lock class, right?
Hmm.
We'll have basically which user is holding and the time to live, which can be a long in milliseconds. This expiry time. I think this should be good for now. Let's see. So basically, we for its seat ID, we'll check if what user is holding it and when is it getting expired.
Hmm.
Then we can have a thread. This will give us a scheduled executor. So this will give us a single threaded scheduled executor which will run periodically if we schedule it. And this,
This is for the TTL part, is it? Okay.
so I'm just putting it as a constructor, but for that main booking class, it will be this constructor. In
Hmm.
that constructor, I just want to uh, like define this background thread basically. So for we can run it for every 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Like I might be a little wrong with the names.
Syntax. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. Here I'll just see for this map. Okay. Here I'm just thinking instead of map, can we change it to something else? So here, what I was thinking was we'll iterate through the map and whichever lock is expired, we'll just remove it from the map.
Okay.
There is another way which we can do this via priority queue, where we just do while the priority queue stop one is expired, we just remove it, so we don't have to worry about the later parts. Or we
Hmm.
can just do a sorting. Thinking. Okay, for now, shall I go ahead with just a for each? Or
Yeah,
what
yeah.
do you say?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Um, we'll have kind of for each in a map what it returns. I'll just do for entries that okay. Acha. Yeah. So this will take care of removing the log after when it is expired. Now, when we are trying to book seats, we'll just straight through for
You are using current time in milliseconds. Does it have any drawback? Basically, you
uh,
are using it, that's correct. But on line 16, you are comparing it with some other time, right?
I'm assuming that I'm storing this time also in
Uh-huh.
millisecond.
No, no.
Like
So that's correct. But is there some disadvantage to using system.current time in milliseconds? Are you aware?
Acha, yeah. Like yeah. I think the time zone problem you're talking about, right? If suppose the system is in different time zone, user is in different time zone, that part.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we can like for now, I just put it this way. But ideally, in a production scenario, we have to have a parser kind of thing for time as well, and have a centralized place where we get time, get current time, and all. That will be depending on the suppose only GMT or something like that we can have.
That's correct. That is one
You can.
problem.
Uh,
But let's say the time zone, everything is, let's say user is just sitting next to the server itself, right? They are in the same time zone.
mm-hmm.
Can it still cause any issue?
uh, Difference in time you're talking about, right?
Yeah, you are comparing it, right? On line 16. So do you know that this can lead to a negative value as well?
Ideally, we have to use is like after wala function method, which I think date provides us and local date also provides.
Okay, I was not talking about that. We will visit this.
Okay,
Yeah, we can
yeah,
move ahead.
okay. I'm not getting that negative wala one
Okay.
actually. Okay. For each seat, if log is not equal to null, that means there is a log, and why will it happen like that? If log plots. Here I'm thinking actually, if suppose a lock is already present, I
Hmm.
don't think there will be a case same user is trying to book again. I mean, in that time zone, can it happen?
No,
Like,
let's not consider that.
so if there is a lock, I'm just blindly returning false, not checking the user.
Okay.
That, I think for now it should work. For if there is a lock present already, we are returning false. And after all this, we just do else. See. Uh, I'm not putting the seat locks dot add logic here because suppose if few of the seat, one of the seat is booked, other seats are available, we'll end
Hmm.
up adding in else block. We'll end up adding the three. We have to roll it back also. So instead, what
Hmm.
I'm thinking was is outside the for. If it is coming here successfully, that means all are available. I'll just do a for again
Okay.
and just add it here. That's what. Seat locks dot put I no long. Again, this system dot now will come up.
Okay.
So this will put all the logs and return true. And the parent function, parent method, it should basically or if ID something like this. Something a change, something, a message up regarding seats you can put.
Hmm.
Or maybe current the seats are not available. This does this look good?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. For payment, I am just thinking of that idempotency key. We can like instead of coding the entire thing, I can just give a small this thing how to create identity that keys SDD keys something like that, which will be it can be a basically uh, concatenation of user ID and the seats the user selected, and there should be some ID correlation ID or something.
Hmm.
Uh, some booking ID. We can give that booking ID also. Yeah. Plus seats plus user ID. So this should basically be unique for a particular booking. Do you want me to code any other part?
No, I think that looks good. Can you draw a couple of entities and try to establish the relationship between those?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, choose any two or three entities which you think are you can better show the relationship between those.
Yeah. I'm thinking of going with show, screen, and a booking maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe, but okay, I have not talked about the strategy as well, right? So if I time permits, I'll do that also.
Okay.
Uh, so and we have screen. I, I'll just know just do this arrow marks once I write this booking. So let me delete it. So basically, show will have start start time, long time, obviously long ID. Then it will have a long screen ID. It will have BID. Then correct. The screen will just have you can have list of seat here as well, the physical entity, but the actual entity will be here. Then okay, we basically have long queue, long not can directly have the entire movie itself. Then booking will have the list of seat they booked. They will have we can either have the entire show object basically, which will have all start time, end time, screen ID, or we can have bookings independent start time, end time. But it makes sense to have show because a booking will be for a show. For multiple shows, there will be multiple bookings. So should I go ahead with this show? I think.
Okay.
Uh,
Ideally, while actually designing this UML, you should not mention this list and all because these are composite and we discussed that.
acha, acha, okay. Okay, actually, this. Oh,
But it's fine. Let's focus on the relations first and then we can come to
understood.
this.
I entity shouldn't have the list. I understood that, but model classes will have that.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it shouldn't have. So show cannot have a list of seats, but instead, okay, let's see. Seat ID. Too many. Uh, mm, user payment. We can either have a payment status or just the entire payment object, the mode or all those things, all those details.
Okay.
So basically, there is a one-to-many relationship between show and seats. Show has a seat. I mean, there is a has a relationship, and it will be one-to-many basically. Uh, then the show will have a screen. screen has multiple shows, it will basically have many to one. Actually, I want to show, but I delete this.
Okay.
Basically, for this actually should be many to one. Huh, like this. Then this also this has physical entities. I'm actually not sure uh, if it should have or not. I mean this.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm not able to do this.
Cool. I think I have got the idea. You know about the cardinality and the
Yeah.
aggregation and composition as well.
Uh,
Cool. I think we are on time. Anything you want to add, Rushali, to this?
Actually, I wanted to do this strategy pattern, but I think it is
Hmm.
just an interface which multiple
Right?
classes will implement, and even
Hmm.
for observer also, it will be a similar case where there will be a different observer,
Hmm.
notifier, different kind of notification types, which will be again an interface. Notification will be an interface. I wanted to
Hmm.
put that, but I think we're out of time, so it should be fine. I think.
Awesome. You can stop presenting. Let's move on to the summary section. I would say, like, let's start with what went well. So I think you asked some very good questions. Like at the very beginning of the interview itself, you clarified the scope of the system. Do you want to include the payments as well as the part of the design or not? Then can we book a running movie or not? What location can I book from one location to another location, or we only consider the current location? Then what modes of payment do we support? Then what channels do we support, and do we support search or not? um, you correctly told that we generally in production we use the UUID
Yeah.
for the ID generation as the primary key. Then composites like collections like list cannot be stored in relational databases.
Mm.
And the reason in brief for that is the data is normalized in relational
Yeah.
databases, and as part of first NF, first normalized form, it only allows the atomic values in the column. So
Mm.
that is the one NF condition. So that's why. You correctly know about the idempotency key, very nicely explained that. Concurrency part, one possible solution like shared cache for lock acquisition and release as well. And when asked about like the idempotency key, should this be generated by the payment gateway or by our system, then you told a very nice line that as a system we never trust our clients for the input. So yeah, it makes sense that better payment gateway handles that. On the coding part, I observed that you have good naming conventions like expiry time in milliseconds, um, proper camel keys, and then millisecond also conveys that time will be stored in watt units. Syntax, I think, was also good. Also, throughout the coding, you told your every decision. For example, I'm using for loop here. Then ways to implement, starting with reentrant lock, then move on to the concurrent hash map. So I think that's fine as long as you are telling your decision.
Okay.
So yeah, these are all the good things I observed. Now, more importantly, coming to what can be improved.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning of the question, one flow you missed was we can go from movie to the theater as well. Um,
Yeah.
so that I had to tell you. On the terminology side, it's not a major thing, but for example, you were asking, should we notify via SMS, WhatsApp? So better term for that will be what communication channels do we support?
Okay.
Apart from that, screen versus show. I got some confusion there. Screen is
Yeah.
basically auditorium. You were
Yeah.
talking about screen, but internally you were thinking about show. Um, then
Yeah.
seat. When you were using the term seat, um, and we ran into some kind of debate like should seat be a part of a screen or
Yeah,
show.
I'm still confused actually, but yeah,
Yeah, so physical seats should definitely be part of a
screen.
screen, like how many seats are there, what are
Huh.
their status. But a show will be concerned with the booked seat, right? So for
Yeah.
this user, for this show, they have
Okay.
got
Yeah.
this seat,
So
right?
instead of having the entire seats, we can just have booked seats in the show.
Right, for that user.
Understood.
Expiry, I think better term will be TTL, time to leave. When you mentioned try-lock, better term is re-entrant lock. Try-lock is just like how you write the code, right? But the
Exactly.
term for that is a re-entrant. Then lock expired, I think the better term will be lock released after TTL. So lock is not expired, but it is released once the TTL is reached. Now, a good example of timeout, when we were discussing about timeout, should when we should show the seat as grayed out? Should it be when the user clicks on proceed button or as soon as the user selects the seat? You came to the correct conclusion that when user clicks on proceed, then we lock the seat.
Logged seats.
A good example will be, you can see, like suppose you add some items in your cart in Amazon itself. Then when
Yeah.
you let's say it is Amazon Fresh. Now when you click on proceed, then Amazon shows some suggestions, let's say 5-10 suggestions. Would you like to add this to cart? Behind the scene, it is checking if those items are available or not, whatever is there in your cart, so that whenever you quickly click that no, I don't want to add anything, just proceed, it immediately shows that some of the items have gone out of
Stop. Yeah. Yeah.
stock, right?
Yes.
So that's a very good example, you can mention that. um, some questions that you could ask is, how many seats at a time can a user book? Ideally, let's say 10 only, right?
Yeah, that
What
is
if
there. Yeah.
Yeah, what if the user is malicious? They are trying to, let's say, book
Log
the
an
entire
entire
theater, right?
theaters. Yeah.
And then it is grayed out to other users, right? It's not an ideal experience. So one
Right.
thing is that now also they can do it repeatedly, right? After every 5 minutes, if we are expiring, every let's say 6th minute they can start, right? So they can prevent book for many seats, right? So better thing is you should also talk a sentence about the rate limiting. But
Yeah.
for rate limiting, generally you will rely on either the user ID, for that user has to log in, or the IP address. But in one or two sentences, talk about rate limiting basically. Um, when you are making the entities, I think you should consider flow wise. For example, you went directly from user to theater, but consider the flow. For example, you can see that, okay, user, then we are actually from the user's perspective, user, then location, then they will see the theater, then
Theaters. Yeah.
in the
I
theater
missed
they
it.
will, yeah. So flow by flow, it will be very easy to come up with the major entities. So yeah, variable naming, I think in the hurry, but seat entity had a status enum, so this variable naming was
Seat
not good.
status.
Yeah, it should have been seat status, or just status is also good because it is part of the seat entity. So status, if you look, you will get to know that, okay, this is obviously in the seat entity, so it is seat. Now if it were of some other status, let's say payment, then if it by chance, let's say it is in the seat entity, then you would have written payment status because it is not related to seat but to payment.
Okay.
So there you have to be explicit. One thing, minor thing, you said that you never implemented a Redis lock. I would prefer not to say that in interview because it is not good, right? It does not look good at least.
Yeah.
So I never say that unless the interviewer asks you a question, and then you can say that, okay, I never worked with Redis locks so in so much detail. So I cannot answer that as of now.
Acha,
One
yeah,
more
we can say
thing,
that I've worked more on it, basically, I think.
yeah.
Because I mentioned that because I don't want to show like I know it all kind of. Because I know
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
I know
that's
that
fine.
I'm explaining, but things which I don't know. Okay, I can formulate it in a better way.
Yeah,
Yeah, discuss
basically,
what
why
you
to
want.
say that? Basically, I am not going to ask you any question on the Redis lock, right? Anyway, it
I
is
like
LLD question.
so
So
interviewers like if sometimes what happens is some interviewers are like very interested in Redis in general. So if some candidate talks about it, they'll keep on talking about it. But if I don't know, I won't be able to answer in that case, maybe.
yeah,
But
when they ask, then I am saying that you tell that, okay, I have never worked with this, but based on what I have read about it, that's what I am telling you.
okay,
Then yeah,
understood.
it's always better to code in ID because there you can show the structure of the project, how you are modeling that. For example,
Ach,
three layers: the database part, the
DAO.
I would say, yeah, DAO. Then the API layer and the implementation layer in general. So three parts you can tell. So it will show the how you are modularizing your code. Then are you using inheritance, abstraction, or not? So these kind of things you can show. So always use ID. It also shows that you have some ID on your local, so you do keep practicing. Better to create one LLD project beforehand so that you don't have to create it on the go. So it
Hmm.
will save you 2-3 minutes of time as well. Bonus will be like if you can read a bit on the reentrant lock and synchronized keyword, that
Huh.
will be a bonus. I won't recommend that you spend more than half an hour on that. Just read about some methods and then some basic examples so that you will be confident in the interview.
Yes.
And the last part I will be talking about is the current time milliseconds.
Huh.
Why I am saying that is it is related to high level, but in distributed systems, current time milliseconds is the wall clock time. And what happens is there is a protocol NTP, network time protocol. So generally consider some server is running. This
Huh.
is it is running some time, and clocks are not accurate, right? Generally,
Yeah.
and that's why we have atomic clocks as well. I think I'm not sure if this is the most advanced clock, but atomic clock is one of the clock that is, I think, based on some basically some quantum mechanics. Okay, so that clock is very much accurate. It drifts, let's say, in billion years, 1 second only. But let's say three servers are there, which we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Each server is drifting, right? One server goes 2 seconds ahead every day, and one server goes 2 seconds behind every day.
Yeah.
So now this will cause an issue while you are doing a reconciliation of the data, right? While syncing the data, it will be problematic because let's say server is running on, let's say, 100 second, and then when the data replication happens, it is saying at 102 the data was written. How it is possible? So this will report data inconsistency. So what
Yeah.
happens is on a cron job, kind of on definite schedules, NTP code runs, basically which syncs the server's time with the, I would say, the more accurate server, right? Which is maintained by some scientist and some maybe standard laboratories. Now, what happens is this current time milliseconds, let's say you measured at the beginning, that's fine. But whenever you are trying to measure the time
Compare.
elapsed, right? Yeah, compare duration, timeout, retries, duration, then it is dangerous. Let's say first it measured start time as 100 milliseconds, code ran. Then in the middle, NTP thread came and it set back the time to, let's say, 98 seconds. Now, when you measure end time, it will be, let's say, 99 seconds. So 99 minus 100, it will give you negative time,
Yeah.
right? So that's not correct. Instead, use nano time. Nano time is monotonic time. So this is known as, I would say, clock drift problem. And nano time is a monotonic time. So it always increases. So
Okay.
always use system dot nano time to compare the times.
Oh, the system
Um,
already has that. Okay.
yeah, system class has that. Yeah. So I think that's all. Although this is not a high level interview, but I just wanted to point this out in case the interviewer
Like
asks.
obviously, I'll have one in coming days, a high level round.
Okay,
So it's good to know. Yeah.
definitely. I think, yeah, that's all. I will be sharing this in the PDF form. Anything you would like to add?
One is like the question you asked about how we don't store obviously lists right in the database. So the answer I gave, is that enough? Like we store the foreign keys, so that is
Correct.
fine. That is okay,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, one more nuance is there. Let's say two entities are related by end-to-end relationship. Now, this
Uh-huh.
end-to-end relationship itself cannot be
So I think
depicted.
in this case we have a separate entity for just relationships, right?
Yeah, that is called junction entity, junction
Uh,
table. Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
that is a good to know point as well. Just in case end-to-end relationship comes, then junction entity. Otherwise, your answer is correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up today's mock interview. I hope this format helped you think through the problem like you were actually sitting in an interview. If you found the video useful, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel and motivates me to create more interview focused content. I would also love to hear your thoughts in the comments. How would you solve the seat booking concurrency problem? Would your design be different? And most importantly, what interview topics would you like me to cover next? Whether it is another LLD problem, an HLD interview, machine coding, Java, DSA, or any real world engineering scenario. Leave your suggestions in the comments. I read every comment and your ideas help decide what videos I create next. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next mock interview. New day, new topic, new learning.